Come on, guys, get moving. Come on. Oh, move around, guys. Come on. They ain't moving. I can't release the ball. Welcome to Goalkeeper's World. If you're listening into this, you've probably heard one of the best goalkeeping interviews you're ever going to hear in your lives. It's not just about the football. It's also about the health. It's also about family. It's also about the people in the crowd. It's the whole complex situation surrounding Marco Carducci in goal for Cavalry FC.
This is Ultimate Soccer with Soccer Steve.
Okay, guys, we have the great honour once again to talk to Marco Carducci, Cavalry FC #1 goalkeeper, 2022 Canadian Premier League Golden Glove winner. It's an absolute thrill to get Marco in. Marco, thanks for joining us again, sir.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Talking about superstitions, are you a superstitious goalkeeper?
No. I think I've always been someone who I think I have routine. I have some people might consider that a superstition, but I like to think of it more of as a routine. I like to keep my preparation leading up to a match, the way I train, the way I play, all very consistent. But it's not ritualistic to the point where if things don't go exactly according to plan, I've now risked my performance, right? And I know some people have their, and if it works for them, it works for them. But they're putting on their left boot and then they're right, and you have to tie it up a certain way, and you have to do this and you have to do that, and you have to walk on the pitch a certain way. For me, I like to keep things steady and a solid routine, but no superstitions here.
There's another one that I've seen many players do, and they hop over the white line as they go over. What's that all about?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I just walk onto the pitch and I take steps wherever my foot lands. I don't care. So yeah, that's a great one though, because it is so common, right? You see so many players do those little hops, and they either hop on the line or they do 3 or 4 hops or a certain number. Again, you have to ask someone else, because I see that and I go, I ask the same question. I'm like, what is that all about?
Yeah. So we're talking about colours, two questions in one. What's your favourite colour personally? And secondly, what's your favourite colour to wear in net?
I'll start with the second one, because I think we look at this year. I like the bright colors. We've been wearing those like bright neon or bright kind of highlighter tone, if you will. And I think that looks sharp. I think it looks good when you stand out as a goalkeeper. I don't get a lot of say over what those colors are. Just show up on match day and whatever the kit is there is the kit that I wear. I mean, in terms of a color, I've always been, which is kind of funny, but I've always been a fan of the blue. I enjoy blue, but I guess it depends. If you're saying what color do you like to wear, what color do you like your house to be, and whatever, all those things I suppose vary for me a little bit. I kind of change with the season.
You're an Italian fella. Obviously, Carducci is a wonderful Italian name. What's your favourite soccer team other than Cavalry FC?
It's Lazio, SS Lazio. I was born and raised with it. My dad, as you mentioned, my dad's side of the family comes from that area of Italy, which is Rome, outside of Rome. And my grandfather was a Lazio fan. My dad was a Lazio fan. My brother and I are Lazio fans. It's just been passed down generation to generation. So that's my team.
Did your dad ever get to see crazy man Paul Gascoigne when he was with Lazio?
I think he did, actually. He back when we were, I probably wasn't even born yet. But even then, I think he was able to get out there more often. And he's been able to go watch games in the late 80s and the 90s. When Gascoigne was there. So I know he's seen a variety of different Lazio teams in there. I'm not sure if they exactly crossed paths there, but I know, again, during the 90s, he was there on more than one occasion and got to see them play, which was also a time for Lazio when they were incredibly dominant. Right? Gascoigne was kind of on the early end of that spectrum, but in the next few years, they built a powerhouse of a team with a lot of players that are, world class.
And if I'm not correct, or if I'm not wrong, I should say, Paolo Di Canio, I believe he was with Lazio too, no? And he was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He started his career, but he was a Lazio guy through and through. I know he obviously made a name at West Ham, in the Premier League and played out there. And then he actually more, I think he may have played a couple more seasons. I can't remember exactly, but he finished his career at Lazio as well. He kind of went back. So he's a kind of um, legend or an icon,
Mhm.
definitely of that era. Yeah.
Now, talking about goalkeeping equipment, what about footwear? What kind of boots do you wear? What manufacturer do you go for? What do you prefer?
I've been wearing Puma for the last 3 or 4 seasons now, actually, and they've been fantastic. For one personally, love the boots. Puma, I think on a more global scale, I mean, they've always been a massive player in
Mhm.
football. But lately, especially, you've seen them. Some of the best players in the world are wearing them, and they've
Yeah.
really done a lot to kind of expand the different you know types of footwear and whatnot. So on my feet, it's been Puma the last few years.
Now, talking about gloves, I want to talk about one thing before we get to the gloves. Inside the gloves are your little fingers. You got to keep really protecting your fingers all the way through. Now, I've noticed that you tape up your fingers. Just for the young keepers out there and guys coming through, explain why you're taping your fingers and what you're protecting.
It's a good question because for goalkeepers, it's certainly a personal thing. I know some keepers who have their whole hand looks like it's in a cast because they've got so much tape on.
Yeah.
And then I've seen others that have nothing and wouldn't have it any other way. So it's certainly a feel. It's a personal thing. I do both wrists and then it varies a little bit, but I do tape with my fingers. And for me, the wrist is actually the biggest one because that's something that I started doing where it just at this point without extra tape there, I feel it's just an extra layer of
Yeah.
security for one to protect myself from being injured, but just having a little bit extra stability. And it's kind of the same thing goes with the fingers, right? It's you want to feel for the ball, but I mean we as any goalkeeper knows, if you're taking hundreds and hundreds of shots every single day, one or two might catch you awkwardly over the course of a year, and sprains, jams, even worse can happen.
Yeah.
So it's about protecting them and also just maintaining. Again, for me personally, I have my little setup that works for me. And I feel like for younger goalkeepers or any goalkeeper for that matter, it's about finding what you like, what's comfortable, and then getting
Yeah.
that level of protection that you want as well.
Now, over the fingers, over the tape goes the gloves. You have your own manufacturing going on. Explain more about that one, because I think that that's something that
Yeah,
most goalkeepers need to get into, no?
yeah, it's a fun story. I wear Summit goalkeeping gloves, and Summit is the brand and the goalkeeping academy that's run by my goalkeeper coach Jordan Santiago. This actually started, I think, at the beginning of the 2020 season, kind of end of 2019, going into 2020. At the time, Nico Giantsopoulos was with us, and so
Right.
we were, myself, Nico, and Jordan training. And I think someone floated the idea of being like, we should just make our own gloves. Because we were talking about gloves, and Jordan is the type of person who, when he gets his mind to something, he will follow through 100%. He's got a bit of a superpower there. And before you knew it, I thought it was just good banter. We're laughing, yeah, no problem. Next thing you know, I got these prototypes being sent to me and different styles and working on it. So I've been wearing the Summit gloves since then, and yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, there's so many great manufacturers out there, good gloves out there. But personally, it's been very cool from the customization standpoint. Every little detail of that glove, not just visually or aesthetically, which is obviously a fun thing. You want them to look the way you want them to look, and
Yeah.
and that's important. But also the cut and the style and the fit. Those are all there's little intricacies in there. That's been really fantastic that I've been able to really get control of that, right?
Mhm.
And now we're going into the fourth model. So I'm actually in the process right now of kind of building, crafting what next year's gloves are going to look like.
Beautiful. Hey, keep it going. Obviously, you're going to be
Yeah,
supplying keepers in the future, I hope, hey?
that's the plan. I mean, listen, there are some local glove manufacturers kind of on a national and even smaller scale within Canada. Um, and it's been really cool to see a lot of young keepers wearing the gloves, but also other pros, other goalkeepers around the country and beyond that are wearing their gloves. And who knows where it goes. It's been a lot of fun, but it'd be cool to see more and more goalkeepers wearing Summit on their hands.
Interesting to know. Now, talking about the season that's just gone past, give us your highs and lows and your thoughts on the season that just passed through.
I think to preface it's that it was a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and everything in between. This year for me personally, it was just a different challenge in many different ways, right? Starting off the year in kind of the preseason, right at the beginning of preseason, having the cancer diagnosis, which obviously put a halt to my plans, at least in the start of the year, or at least was a detour, so to speak. But then ultimately, getting back in the team and we started off the season with a bit of a struggle to get going, and once we did, again we went on I think an 11 match unbeaten run in the league, which was a club record, a league record.
Yeah,
just a really really incredible time, and that showed the depth and the quality that we had. We had a team that was just kind of firing on all cylinders. And as with any season, but this more than others, obviously there was a dip, and there was a time where the form kind of flipped, right? We went through a rough patch where we had to kind of dig in, right, and fight, and it got a little bit more choppy from that point. So this year had everything. Steve. I mean, we again go on this unbeaten streak, and then things kind of get a little bit more difficult in the run into playoffs, and then ultimately, again, this is a league with playoffs. We get into playoffs like we've done for every single season now, and we've gone toe to toe with the eventual champions. So highs, lows, everything in between, a lot of learning experiences. Ultimately, we didn't achieve the goal which we set for ourselves, which was to be champion.
Yeah.
But a lot to learn from, for sure.
So it's obviously going to make the guys in the locker room a little hungrier for next season. And talking on next season, 8 guys have been released, which that's quite a big number to be released. Obviously, 2 guys are going back to Montreal. That's obviously to pursue careers with the MLS. But is this a rebuild situation for Cavalry FC, or is this the norm at the end of the season? Your thoughts?
I think a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, it certainly is part of this time of year. There's always turnover, and as you mentioned, Karifa and John and Yell returning to Montreal. That was a natural thing that was going to happen one way or another. And then guys move on. I think there's some guys who've been key parts of the team and great teammates over the last few years. It's just always sad to see guys go. But there's more to it, right? There's individual contract situations, and guys have families and other opportunities, and you have to respect that. But a lot of things go into it. It certainly is, I think, par for the course, right? That there is that turnover, but ultimately, as with any time that something like that happens, that rebuild word, I think, is definitely coming into the picture, and you'll start to see those new pieces coming in, pieces moving out, and ultimately that's not up to me as a player on the team.
Right,
my job is to focus on myself and obviously focus on whatever the team looks like. But it will certainly be interesting to see. I wish nothing but the best for those guys who have moved on.
Absolutely.
And also excited to see the pieces that come in, and just shifting that focus again to next year, and whatever that team looks like, we're going to have the same goals. We're going to have the same drive to again have a successful year.
Absolutely. Now, talking about you personally, it's a team game, but sometimes people win individuals awards. And in the Canadian Premier League, there is a big award for goalkeepers, and it's the Golden Glove. Now, you won the Golden Glove back in 2019, and you had to put Tristan Henry behind you. He won it in 2020, but again in 2022, you've become the Canadian Premier League Golden Glove Keeper of the Season again. And again, Tristan Henry's in behind you. How big does that feel to win for the second time?
Yeah, it's a great honor. It's obviously a wonderful achievement and something I'm very proud of. The first thing I would say is, as you'd mentioned, it is at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and this doesn't happen. I know it's a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen without the guys in front of me. The support I have, Jordan Santiago, my goalkeeper coach, has been incredible for me. The whole staff, every single person, but ultimately those guys in front of me, the center backs, every single player on the pitch, who we all work together to that same goal. when we get clean sheets and when we have successful games, at least defensively, I'm kind of the benefactor of it, but
Yep.
certainly doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It's not just a one-man show. It never is. So I'm grateful to all those people. I'm grateful to have won that award. You named a guy like Tristan Henry, who his team's gone on and won the league again, and he's had a great year. And I think that just goes to show, among the other nominees for this award, right? Callum Irving and Nathan Ingham, who are fantastic goalkeepers. There's a lot of great quality in this league, great goalkeeping in this league all throughout. And I think that ultimately, to have won the award among all that talent and all those great goalkeepers who I have nothing but respect and admiration for, it means a little bit extra, because obviously these personal awards are awesome. And I'm certainly not keeping count, but it's fantastic to win for a second time. And
Well, you've
you
won
go
a
into
few
every
awards.
season
Let's
wanting,
face it, you've won a few keeping awards. It's not just the first time. It's been steady through your season, through your career.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I mean, that's the goal every season. Again, the team goals are obviously paramount, but every single time I suit up for a season, I want to be the guy that's recognized as the best goalkeeper. And if I'm doing that, then obviously I can be proud of that. So
Absolutely.
I mean, thank you again. A lot of thanks goes out to the guys around me too, though.
Respectful little saying there to thank your teammates. That is a real team player. Now, talking about Canada moving to the World Cup, you've always got to talk to professional soccer players to get the real deal on what they feel or what they think about Canada going to the World Cup. My question is, does Canada get out of Group F? What are you thinking, Marco?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, being there is a fantastic achievement in the first place, but I think you've seen from the culture that this team now has, and that they've shown through the qualification campaign. I don't think the team is happy just to be there, right? I don't think they're just there to make up the numbers, which I think is exciting. It's a very challenging group. I think we have to be realistic about that with a team like Belgium and Croatia, and those two alone, right, are like powerhouses in Europe. Let's be real. So that's going to be a challenge, absolutely. But I'm excited to see this team has so much quality. Individually, we don't need to name names, but we know who they are. But the power of the group and the culture and that collectiveness they have, I think, is what might surprise a few people. You never know. This World Cup is unique in a lot of different ways, and I think that might fit well for Canada to go in there and maybe turn some heads.
You're in training, everything's going well, then suddenly you're starting to feel that you're not your same, and you start to think, I need to go get checked up. Please take me through that and tell us how this actually started with your treatment for cancer and how you progressed through this.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's an important story to continue to share, and something that I'm very open about doing. I really want to continue to do, because it was a shock for me, and I think having those conversations and promoting that advocacy and awareness is so key. But yeah, we flash back to January of this year, so January 2022. As you mentioned, I started to notice something. I'm not sharing this with the world, but I'm starting to think, oh, this is weird, this is strange, I'm feeling this discomfort, I'm feeling something different, but otherwise feeling fine. And this is one of the interesting things is I start to notice it kind of comes and goes. I'm training, I'm in my off season, I'm feeling physically fit and healthy and sharp. I'm getting prepared for the season mentally. You get fired up, you're ready to go. So all these things are pointing in the right direction. And the last thing I'm thinking about is this strange discomfort in a private area that I'm like, I don't really know what's going on here, but we'll see. Ultimately, it doesn't really go away. Again, I start to notice it feels different. It's not right. So, thankfully I have very quick access to our team doctor. And within a couple of weeks, I said, okay, I better go see him. He checks it out. And then, the rest happens really in a flash. And even today, talking about it is just kind of surreal, because, I'm training. We're in our second week of preseason. So training's hard. We're working, and everything is going so quick. So, this is now in kind of mid-February. on a Tuesday after training, I was booked to go get an ultrasound, which is kind of step one with anything related to testicular cancers or anything in that area, where they get a better idea. Again, we had no idea at this point, but
Right.
it's the first step. So that's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I go to training and I get a call from the doctor's office saying, we'd like to see you as soon as possible. And naturally, that for me is no doctor calls you to see you immediately if the news isn't urgent, right?
Did that really
So I'm a
shake
little
you?
stressed.
Did that shake you
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
got that message?
it did. And
Yeah.
that was in the morning. That was in the morning before training. So I remember going out and saying, well, I just still got to train because I don't know. I have no idea. I'm worried for sure.
Yeah.
I'm scared, but I just found solace in what I always do, which is okay. I'm just gonna go and train because what else can I do right now? Anyway, so I go, finish the day and go to the doctor's office, and that's where I get the news. They've reviewed the results. It's testicular cancer. I'm now, I'm in such good hands. It's obviously hits you like a train. You don't really know what to do. It's a big shock.
Right.
My doctor, Dr. Robinson, is handling it in the best way possible, giving me all the support I need, and really just outlining the steps. And he says, you should go to the hospital right now. Go to the emergency. They'll take care of you. They'll get you into surgery as soon as possible. One way or another, this surgery has to be done, and the sooner the better. So to recap a bit, Tuesday, I do the test, the ultrasound. Wednesday, I get the results.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, I'm at the hospital. By Thursday night, the surgery's been completed. And Friday, I'm already on my way home.
Wow.
So within, 3-4 days, I get this news. I get the diagnosis. I don't really know. There's a lot of uncertainty around what this means for my health. I don't know if there's been spread. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Get this surgery. I'm out of surgery. Now I have this recovery. Thankfully, all the initial testing and all the testing I've done since, which is a new part of my life, has indicated that we caught it early, and this is a very treatable form of cancer. It's the most common for men in the range of 15 to 35, and if caught and treated early, it is highly, highly, highly treatable. Right? We're talking in the 99% range of
Nice.
if you get it early, you'll be okay. And thankfully, I didn't need any additional treatment other than the surgery, again, so far, which is a blessing, and I'm very grateful for. But yeah, it was just insane. It all happened so fast. And by Friday, I'm already starting to think, when I'm, hobbling home and starting to think about recovering for the surgery, I'm thinking, when can I play?
Yeah.
When am I fit to be back in? And that's where my focus shifted to. So that was, I think, in a nutshell, what February looked like. And then ultimately, the recovery went well. I was back in the team. I think it was May 1st, that home opener. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. What a thing to come through in such a short time. Like the whole season gets put on hold. You missed 3 games, just 3 games. If I'm correct, you only missed 3 games in the whole process. That's amazing.
And
that's amazing.
Those three, I was fit. I was eligible. I certainly had missed, obviously, a big chunk of preseason, but that was my goal. I said I want to be ready for selection by match day 1, and I was. I certainly needed more training, more time, get a couple friendlies under my belt just to be ready to go in and perform at that level. But it was fantastic because that, again, I was just able just to focus on my recovery. I had nothing but support from the people around me. I'm so grateful to every single person, from our medical staff, from the medical staff at the hospital, my surgeon, everyone who played a part in my recovery. To this day, I owe them a massive debt of gratitude because, they did the part that for them is just their job, but for me, made me feel like the center of the world, the center of the universe when I needed it, right? And it allowed me just to focus on getting back, getting ready to play, and then once I was healthy and ready to go, like I said, the season just kind of came and went as it does.
Absolutely. I always say throughout life, and obviously I'm a couple of years older than you, just a few, and I always say, out of a bad situation always blossoms a positive, and it always seems to come through. Now, when I look at you, the seasons that you put behind you, all beautiful. This season starts off rocky because of the health, but out of that came a wonderful year for yourself personally. It ends with getting healthy, getting past the cancer, winning the Golden Glove for the 2nd time, and looking like nothing's wrong at all. What a challenging year you've had, my friend. But challenges make the man. And I look at a man in front of me who instills entertainment every time, professionalism, entertainment every time, and really marshals between the posts. And in behind you and alongside you, not just the guys on the bench, not just the guys on the field, but you have a big family, about 4,000 people every game at Cavalry FC. Talk on the fans and what they mean to the team, and especially when they're Marco Carducci. How must that feel?
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm a Calgary boy. I'm born and raised here. Very close to home. We start with it. I look and I see my family in the stands, right? My grandmother comes to every game, and she's, this cute Italian nonna who's supporting the team, and she gets to watch me play. It's an incredible feeling. But the fans we have are next to none in this league. It's unbelievable, the support. Again, as a Calgary boy, it's extra sweet. And they give us that drive, and they give us that motivation every single time they go out there and to perform. And they're the reasons why this league exists, for a lot of reasons, right? I mean, they're the ones supporting us. They're the ones putting their time and money and energy into supporting this league and our club, and us as players. So every single time I get an opportunity to go out there, especially with what this year has taught me, it's just a privilege. I was once that kid who's now watching in the stands saying, I want to be a pro one day.
Right.
I didn't have the CPL to look up to, but it's an incredible feeling to know that you can have that impact. I mean, again, the little boy in me who just wants to just love football. After everything I've gone through, especially, it's given me that perspective to say, I got to go out here at home in front of 4,000 fans, who are chanting my name, cheering us on. Really, it's a performance-based industry. The results are everything that matters. But at the end of the day, and I don't lose sight of that. But at the end of the day, I'm playing football with a bunch of my friends, playing this game that I love, and doing it in front of all these people who were cheering us on. It's a privilege. It really is. And this year, more than anything, I've learned that.
Guys, if you're listening into this, you've probably heard one of the best goalkeeping interviews you're ever going to hear in your lives. It's not just about the football, it's also about the health, it's also about family, it's also about the people in the crowd. It's a whole complex situation surrounding Marco Carducci in goal for Cavalry FC. Watch this completely right through, and you'll absolutely understand who Marco Carducci is. Marco, I want to thank you personally for this. It's been an amazing interview, an amazing talk, and I've learned a lot about you in this time as well, not just by doing my research. And I want to say thank you for giving me the chance to stand next to you while you've been in goal, while I've been side of the field during the Cavalry games. And good luck next year, and have a great rest, because I think you deserve it.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on the show and to be able to chat with you, and I appreciate you for all the work that you do. Everyone's involved in growing this game, growing this league, growing this club, and that extends to you. So thank you for the work you do, and I hope we get to spend some more time out on the pitch next season.
Absolutely. I've got one thing for you. Next season, I want to challenge you to a shootout, just you and I, a shootout after training, and I'm going to film it. And then the second thing is, I'd love to get one of your shirts, to frame one of your shirts, and we will pay for it at Ultimate Soccer. If you need to buy the shirt, we'll do it, but we want to get a shirt signed by Marco Carducci, framed in the studio. Your thoughts on that one as we close this down?
Let's do both. I'm in.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Marco, thank you so much, and enjoy the days off. I'll be talking to you in the spring training.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
The Ultimate Soccer Show. Join me, listen, you'll love it. Everybody does.